Hey there, and welcome back to Equipping the Family. I'm JD, and this is Bethany, and we're glad to spend a little bit of time with you. As you can see by the tree behind us and our incredible Christmas sweaters, we're talking a little bit about Christmas today, and really talking a little bit about Advent and what Advent is, what it is not, and how we use that as part of our preparation for Christmas. I know if you're like us, Christmas can get very busy.
Very crazy, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, and it becomes about about the toys, and about the gifts, and about the parties, and about the food. I mean, we love some Christmas food. Pretty much from Thanksgiving, I feel like that's all we do. From Thanksgiving through New Year's, we just eat all the time.
Snack.
A few years ago, we really began to focus in on Advent and using it as a tool to really prepare our hearts and our minds for what Christmas is really about. It's never something that we forgot. We always we always knew that Christmas is about the coming of Christ, and but it's very easy just to kind of get lost in all of the other stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
So a couple years ago, especially when our daughter kind of got to the age where she could really understand what's going on, we just knew we wanted to be intentional about teaching her what Christmas was about and just preparing your heart. And like we said, it's so easy to get caught up in all the things of Christmas, and there's so much fun and goodness of Christmas. It's just a fun season altogether. Mm-hmm. But the purpose of it is for us to prepare our hearts and just to really think back to what Christ did and that he brought his son to this earth. And one way we found to do that is by celebrating Advent. And maybe if you grew up in a Catholic tradition, that's something you're familiar with. But if not, it may kind of sound like a different word, scary word, or not, you don't even know what it means. But Advent literally just means the coming or the arrival. So just preparing our hearts for the coming of Jesus, first off, the birth of Jesus. And so we live, you can kind of say, in between two Advents. We've already had the birth of Jesus, and he came to this earth as a baby. But then one day we're promised that he's coming again. And so for us, Advent has just been this time of just taking a moment just to really stop and prepare our hearts for that and be in the Word a little bit more, be more intentional, just take some sit down time with our kids. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I love that there's seasons, and that's part of what Advent was in the church. It was just kind of a season of celebrating. They do Lent near Easter, and I think the Lord's good to us in that he's given us seasons in our lives, not only in the weather. You think about how exciting it is when spring hits for the first time. Just kind of gives you this new hope, after the drudge of winter. And so for me, Advent's kind of that same thing. Not that it's sparkly and magical or anything, but it's just a time, it's just a renewed hope of just sitting in the promise that, for one, the Lord is a promise keeper and he brought his son, and if you see in scripture that was promised way before, and so he's promises that, but then that he promises that he's coming again. And how can I prepare my heart to be better mindful of that? So as a family, we just try to do different things to really help that to be our focus of the Christmas season.
Yep. And so let me encourage you, if you're looking for a way to really jump into family discipleship, or you said, hey, we've tried and it's just kind of, life gets a little crazy, this is a good place to start, because there's a ton of resources. And that's actually what we want to do today, is to share some of our favorite resources with you. And we'll post all of this stuff on our Instagram account. We'll link it all in the show notes and that type of stuff. But so a lot of churches do provide resources.
Yeah.
For instance, our church, in fact, just today, I finished up getting ready our resources for our families. And it's something that's very simple. In fact, we'll post this one as well. And what it is a scripture and an activity for the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas. Nothing intense, nothing over the top, but just a time for you as a family to sit down, to read a scripture, talk about how it corresponds to Christmas, and then to do that family activity. And they're fun activities. They're things that engage everyone from your youngest all the way up to teenagers.
Sure. So I think if you're interested in Advent, I think there's something for everybody, from no cost to, if you want, I mean, there's some beautiful resources out there, but I'm never one to say we have to go spend a ton of money to do these things. So it can be something as simple as just reading scripture together. I will say, I think it's good to be intentional, so as to plan out something, to have some goals set, but also make them realistic. I know, like, as a mom, sometimes I want to do all the things. We want to cook the cookies and we want to do all the special projects, and then Christmas comes and I don't do any of them and I just feel overwhelmed. But instead, to make it something manageable for your family, make it something, wise that you choose to do, that that you can handle. If it's just once a week, if it's just, something simple reading, like whatever it may be, know what your family dynamic looks like and choose something accordingly.
Yeah. So we want to share a few of those with you. So our first one we've got is it's actually just an add-on to what is one of our favorite Bibles for younger kids. It's the Jesus Storybook Bible.
Right.
And we've shared that on before, and we'll link to that. But it was just a wonderful Bible. Storybook Bible, so it's kind of a paraphrase written by Sally Lloyd Jones, and then got this great resource that kind of helps you walk through that Bible.
Right. Yeah, so Jesus Storybook Bible, one of our favorite Bibles for especially younger kids. We've already mentioned that in the past. Well, it's actually, I think, on Sally Lloyd Jones' website, but we can link it too. And I actually just printed this out. It's just like a little printable. But it actually goes through 24 different readings through the Jesus Storybook Bible that you can go through with your kids each night. It just kind of gives you a game plan, kind of walks from the beginning all the way through the gospel story, where you'll, in that, where he's talking about that he's the King of Kings and what's to come. So it's a great way to walk through the story of the Bible, to highlight onto the Christmas story, but then also to give like this almost peek of what's to come, because we talked about that we're preparing our hearts for the second arrival of Jesus as well.
Yep. And what was so neat about that, the year that we did that, was just to see the story of Jesus build throughout the entirety of Scripture.
Absolutely. And just see how his story weaves throughout this, that he's prophesied in the Old Testament, that it comes to fruition. And it's just a good way for you to show your kids how he's a promise keeper. He's a God who is faithful to his people. He's redeemed his people. And just look at all these promises and look how he's kept those.
Yeah.
So our next one is actually kind of a newer resource for us. I don't know if you've heard of the Jesse tree. I got this resource. It was just real cheap off of Etsy. We can link it below too. But it goes through just different passages in the Bible, and each one has like a corresponding picture, like the apple with Adam and Eve. It talks about like creation has the earth. And so what you'll do is the kids will put... I got this one because they'll have little activities to do. So we'll actually put one sticker in each of their little Advent boxes each day, put their sticker on here, and then it corresponds to a story in the Bible. So once again, kind of like Jesus Storybook Bible walks through the creation story all the way through Jesus' birth and even beyond. But fun little activity for them to do. There's so many different... You can make a Jesse tree, you can do stickers. There's so many different options if you just Google it. But it's a great way to have fun with it, but to also kind of put some pictures in your kids' minds of what this season's about. So,
and anything you find that's got activities, that's what we found best works with our kids. It helps keep them engaged, because they'll listen, to us when we read the Bible story, and they'll focus in for a little while. But if you've got an activity to go along with that, it really helps to kind of pull them in. Now, obviously, we're about doing stuff for families, to discipling our families. But part of that that is helping the parent, to really help you to focus your mind. And so really one of, and there's a ton of resources out there. I mean, I've got probably 3 or 4 different books in my office that are Advent readings for adults. But one of our favorites is from people we've recommended here before multiple times. It's He Reads Truth and She Reads Truth. And this year, I mean, it's what I love about it is it's about the Word. It's about
Sure.
spending time in the Word. But
Right.
also the books are just incredible.
Right. So we actually do have the physical books. I think you can still get the digital copies of these. And you can actually do them without the workbook as well. You can just go to their website and they'll have it each day. But they usually have a scripture reading that you read through each day. And they do a lot of times have like a little devotional thing, but just really a great resource to kind of prepare your own heart. So this is an adult version. These would also be great. Like if you have some teenagers, this is a great resource. Like you could do some of these along with them.
Yep.
They actually do have some kids resources that go along with it as well. If you wanted to add on and do like one cohesive thing as a family, they do have some great kids resources that you could just do the whole thing. But we try to pick out early on each year what we are going to do for Advent and make it something intentional that we do for our own personal discipleship. And then just kind of the overflow of that, we kind of pull our kids into it as well. So we always love their studies.
Yeah. As I said, the physical books are great. You can also get it on the app. There's a He Reads Truth and a She Reads Truth app. And if you want to get it absolutely for free, you can sign up for the email and it'll come into your email box every morning. And so another great free resource there. But like with all of this, we encourage you to to think outside the box, to find something that works for your family. But the main thing is just to find something and to do it and to stick with it. I mean, I know there's days that we've forgotten to do it, and we just try to make up for it on the next day.
Right. Just do the best you can, as a family, and know that there's grace in that. But I hope it's a season that as a family, y'all can grow closer to the Lord and just remembering who He is and what He's done. Sometimes it's so easy for that Christmas story to kind of grow numb on our hearts just because sometimes we've heard it so much. And so just being able to sit in it and just really think of what the Lord did for us by sending His Son to His earth, and then discussing that with our kids. I think it's just a great way for us to really prepare our hearts for the Christmas season. And what I love about Advent is what a few days later, it's the new year. So I love that Advent kind of brings my heart almost full circle of just, the weariness, especially 2020.
Yes.
It's been a hard year for us just to realign and focus on what the Lord has done and that He's still faithful despite our circumstances. And it's so neat when I do that, and then it leads me straight into a new year. And that's where my heart is at the beginning of the year. So definitely something we love as a family, and hope you'll join us in maybe celebrating Advent this year. It's been really good for our family, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you've enjoyed spending a little time with us today. We've enjoyed spending time with you, and thank you for all the kind words. And we hope to be putting out continued content specifically geared towards Christmas over the next few weeks. But I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, and we'll see you guys again real soon.
Merry
Bye, guys.
Christmas.